Hello and welcome to another episode of the University Duel Podcast, where we talk about university life and more. And with me today I have Randy. Hi Randy.
I'm very well. Good to be here.
Same here. It's good to have you. So tell us, introduce yourself as you like to be addressed, and tell us a bit about what you do.
Well, my name is Randy Peter Aka, and I do quite a few things.
Okay.
I am, a science enthusiast. I'm a human rights advocate. I'm an actor. I'm an entertainer, and creating some content also on social media. So I do a whole range of things that, boils around nation building, youth empowerment, and then child education.
The present economy versus sustainability. Yeah. Sustainability is a buzzword now that we're hearing now because people are more interested in how things can last. Yeah. And there was someone on the show that spoke about it's about people, it's about the planet, and it's about profit.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm a graduate today and I'm either going into the 9 to 5 or I want to start my business. How can I plan effectively to survive the rigors and just the unplanned, unprecedented falling and rising of the economy?
There is almost no way to plan directly for it than to fix the system.
Ooh.
The bad economy in itself is also a symptom of a problem.
Absolutely.
It's a symptom of a deficiency in governance and then an educational system. The economy cannot grow beyond the standard of the education, whether it is skilled or unskilled. That is why programs like University Duel becomes very important. Because for you to build a good economy, you must be able to move people from, we have to be productive. That is why we have the smart challenge and all of that we're talking about.
Absolutely.
So young people a space will need to be created where knowledge is able to be transferred into reality. That people do not just see. In Nigeria today, you see people who are working in the bank who read agricultural engineering. What are you doing there?
What are you doing there?
So that is it. So when you have a system that is not structured and round square pegs are not put in square holes, there is nowhere people can put in. You see this brain drain. A lot of people get the education and then jackpot everywhere. So for you to prepare, to your question, to handle these issues, inflation should not be an everyday thing. It should be something that we notice it's a problem and we are working on bringing it down. So that is where the competence in governance, education of the populace, what is our literacy level? So you compound that with corruption and all of that. So once we fix the system, education and governance, you'll be able to have a better economic platform where citizens can thrive.
Absolutely. But then now the issue is that fixing the system is a lot of work. And it is a lot of time. It is cross-generational.
Yeah.
So when you are in survival mode,
yes.
First of all, you have to survive first.
Today.
So the space between now and so it's two things. The space between now and when we quote and unquote fix the system.
Yeah.
What do I do then? And then how do I even fix the system?
Okay, so two very broad questions, and I'll try to narrow them down. How do you survive now? Nigerians, or as human beings, we are very ingenious and enterprising people. Everybody is struggling to do something. But the only reason why you have to pay attention to fixing the system is because you will continue to be a victim of that system. In fact, the system can determine how well you will survive.
Absolutely.
You understand? So there are certain young people who are not married today, not because they cannot get married or they do not want to, but they cannot financially afford to raise a family. That is the truth. There are people who want to start up businesses. They do not have access to capital. They do not have access. So when you live in a system where there is no social security, no insurance, no health coverage, nothing. So it becomes double whammy for you. It's like the odds are stacked against you. Absolutely. It is you against the world. So you will find a way around it because every difficult situation is an opportunity to prove yourself. So while we are getting that done and struggling, we still begin to come together and have the conversation of how do we then fix this thing completely so that every other person is better and have it easier. Because what you may survive, I may not survive it. So it is better we give everybody a level playing field to begin. And that is why as you continue to wake up every day, you go to your shop, there is no light. You go to this thing, there is no light. By the time elections comes, what is your position? Who are you voting for? That is has the direct implication to the quality of life that we live.
Absolutely. And that's very interesting, because I like that you mentioned elections now. And by the time you're in university, even if you don't enter at 18, you would definitely get to that age and you can vote.
Yes.
So how can we sensitize and, inform these young adults on what their rights are, and even more than their rights, what their obligations are? Also, I think that voting is a limited way to change the state of the status quo. Even if we did have a good president and leaders, every society that is functioning well, it's a collaboration between the government and the private sector, or the people. So how do we get, because a lot of people, we don't participate in politics. We wait for elections and then that election is presidential abes government. Then your House of Rep, the people that are making all your laws, all of that, they've entered. So how do we push the younger generation to be more involved and more aware of what their power is?
Well, citizen sensitization. Unfortunately, Nigeria does not have the kind of educational system that we use does not put priority on civic education. From the cradle, as every child is growing in the United States of America or in other climes, people know the roles of government to them and their responsibilities as citizens to their country. And people begin to understand very early that the actions of government and politicians affect your lives directly. So you get involved, because whether you're interested in politics or not, politics is interested in you. And whether you pay attention to it or not, decisions will be made that will affect you. So the earlier you get interested and get involved, the better for you. Talking about elections, it is a strong way of changing the dynamics. Your voting rights are the most important rights in any democracy. Your right to vote for your leader in a free, fair, and credible manner. Because that is one of the only ways of holding public officials accountable. Any government that knows that you cannot vote them out is not beholden to you. The reason why a lot of politicians in both Nigeria and across this continent behave the way they believe is because there is no way, they know that whether you vote or not, a leader will emerge. It is what I can call the democratization of disenfranchisement, politics without the people. So whether you get involved or not, they are not interested. So you as citizens must now pay attention and fix that electoral system, so that when you send in people, they are unable to do why or what you send them to do. You send them out, and gradually you begin to change and tip the scale away from just career politicians to competent individuals who have a vision and will partner with the people to realize that vision.
Absolutely.
That is how you get it done. If you do not do that, no matter what you say, a new person comes, rigs himself into power, the case gets worse, we continue to complain.
So I like how you said it, because I was going to touch on the fact that a lot of people, especially from that NSAR's time till now, will tell you that they have tried. Looking at the last elections, the outcome was very...
It was what it was.
So people would... There's a lot of discouragement, and also... Do you become a part of the system to fix or break? Do you become a part of the system to fix the system, or do you break down the system totally, especially because of how corrupt and framed in a way to benefit the ruling class? But the issue with that is, a lot of times, like when I was younger, 2-3 years ago, I was all for revolution, let's scatter everywhere.
Yes.
But you find out that if you do that, you can create another
complete system of chaos on its own.
Exactly. So what is the methodology to whatever madness we need?
Thank you. Beautiful question. Methodology to whatever. Part of what I do, if you follow me on social media and all of that, is trying to raise an awareness and sensitization. There is a dangerous level of ignorance amongst Nigerians. And this ignorance is not just with illiterate folks. It is even more with the educated.
The illiterate, I'm so sorry for quoting.
Please go ahead.
Nobody understands politics more than the illiterate. When I was younger, the best institution in this country, the markets, those market women and men, they understand politics more than any.
They are involved. They are.
They get it.
So if you, with that level of, enlightenment,
Yes.
where you have people, Nigerians, we mostly know what we studied in school. When it comes to governance, institutional reforms, and how systems should work, policy making, a lot of persons are very detached from it. So it reflects in our collective decisions when it comes to elections.
Yes.
You talked about revolution and all of that. A lot of people who even talk about revolution do not even understand what it means. That is why I have always been talking about electoral reform and all of that. If today, for instance, a country like Sri Lanka had a revolution, they sent away their president and the prime minister, their leader. But a few weeks ago, they had to go back to hold elections so that a leader can come. Because elections do not only produce leaders, they give legitimacy to government. If you do a revolution today and you chase out the current Nigerian president, who takes over from him? If you bring in an Igbo person, the Northerners will say, why should it be? The South Middle Belt will say this. So elections must come so that everybody agrees as to who comes in.
Absolutely.
That is how it should be done. So Nigerians must first of all understand it is not about going on the streets to protest. Protest or anger is not a plan in itself. When you see a protest like end bad governance protest, the first question you should ask is, how do you end bad governance? By electing good governance. How do you elect good governance? Through the electoral process. So you must pay attention to INEC and electoral reform. If you cannot get electoral reform, what gives you the idea that you can end bad governance? It is wishful thinking.
It is.
So that is where we must put focus. It will begin by realigning our mindsets and focus so that people begin to pay attention to where attention is due. If President Tinubu knows that if you do not fix the economy by 2027, you are likely to be voted out, he will sit up. The only reason why he will not is because probably he knows that maybe in 2027, I can find my way around it. So you must look for that way and plug the loophole. Failure to do so, you remain a victim and continue to complain every 4 years.
Absolutely. I think one thing that people underestimate, democracy is by the people. It's not just for them. It is by them.
Yes.
And so there was one day I was watching CNN, and I think there was a time in America where they had some light issues and some. I remember that time. And then Senator Ted Cruz
from Texas.
He
traveled to Cancun, to Mexico for the entire country came because he's in public
from the airport.
And then he went on that vacation and left his pets at home.
Can you imagine?
And traveled to Mexico, to Cancun for a vacation while there was outage. I think they had one of these natural disasters or so.
Yes,
the backlash was epic.
When he came into the airport, if you see how every single person turned to,
he knew that he would never try it again because he is beholden to the people. And by the next elections, he will feel the heat. That is what democracy and leadership should be.
Yes.
In Nigeria, the country can be burning and the leader will be on the next plane out of the country.
And if they see him, they will beg him that, please, just let me join your plane. So honestly, just let me enter. So I think what I've gotten out of this is political participation. The work, freedom is to be fought for, and when you get it, it is to be fought for, to even be kept.
Yes.
And so you have to be so deliberate and intentional and active about everything, because like you said, if you don't care about politics cares.
Democracy is as strong as you are ready to fight for it, and if you do not, you continue to suffer.
Damn.
It
is the truth. It is what it is, and we are the younger ones who we have the numbers and we need to play the game. We need to. Look at what University Duel is doing with this competition. Imagine if the government was as intentional about that. The hand of government touches everybody, whether church, whether musician, whether artist, whether a religious leader. So you must fix it so that every other sector stops to struggle. Yeah. Thank you. And we have all the resources, because look at these students. They are smart challenge programs. If they can implement it the way it should,
by the time the winner comes out and nobody from Nigeria taps in, and one company overseas just say,
they are gone, and so you lose that human resource.
I hope you two do not jackpot anything.
Thank you so much. Come and show. And that is all on this episode of the University Duel Podcast. See you next time. Bye.